right. Welcome back to another episode of Road to William. I got my cousin here today, Ashley from IB Ball and Basketball Show. Ashley, tell them about your channel.
Yeah, my channel is IB Ball and Basketball Show, and I covered the NBA, the WNBA, a lot of movie reviews, a lot of NBA 2K videos. I'm doing the 30-day challenge as of now, so I'm dropping daily videos, different basketball movie reviews, TV reviews, do it all. So come to me for all the basketball news.
Yo, go check out her channel for all the sports news. Today's video, we're doing a movie review on classic Juice, Omar Epps, Tupac Shakur. What's that? I forgot the other guy's name. He's been in a lot of stuff too.
Oh, the one that was in for Colored Girls.
Yeah,
He played Raheem. His name
Raheem,
is Khalil Kane.
Khalil Payne.
Samuel Jackson.
Mhm.
He was Trip. Donnell Fonzion. He was a student in here. Oh, what? Queen Latifah, Puff House. I think that's her name. Rough House. She was the Rough House audition person.
Yeah, there was a lot of great cameos in this film. You could tell this was kind of like the beginning of a lot of people's careers when it came to acting, even in their own music careers and different avenues they were going down. You could tell this was the beginning. I'm gonna drop a few clips in of like behind the scenes of Juice when they were acting and how like I've never been on a scene like a movie scene before, but seeing the behind the scenes, it kind of gave you a more realistic view of what happens when when the cameras aren't rolling, how they're trying to figure it out, how they should do this scene, and how they can kind of come in and out of their own characters. I know a lot of people, the rumors were like after Tupac played Bishop, he like took on that character in real life, and I think, seeing behind the scenes, I'm like, I don't think so. I think Tupac was always going to be who he was. I think people think you have to be a bishop in order to like get the things you want. But seeing behind the scenes, I saw that he was just doing something he loved, and how they were laughing in the scenes where he was about to, off one of his friends, like that scene where he just went off on Raheem, like, and they sitting there kicking it, chilling, eating snacks. I'm like, but for them to be then sunk back into that place where you have to focus and lock in is just incredible. So, what was the favorite part of the film that you enjoyed the most?
Wow, the most? That's tough. That's tough. I love this film, 90s film. I remember you and your mom gave it to me for Christmas as a present on DVD back when they had DVDs. I still might have it, but yeah, this is one of my favorite movies. My favorite scenes is probably my favorite scenes are like the scenes that Tupac is in because you can kind of see like the craziness come out, like a scene where Omar Epps' character Q, when he was like, I am crazy. I don't give a F about you. I don't give a F about me. And I was like, oh, that's my favorite scene. And Q and Tupac's character went at it as well. In the house, they was going at it, so you could see the tension in multiple scenes. I was like, so you could see like, oh, even in the beginning where they're running from the cops in the beginning because they were ditching school, it reminded me of like, okay, that's sort of how the ending is too, because they're running around the same area too. And I think when they jumped from building to building, that might have been the building that Tupac fell off of. So I was like, oh, snaps. I see what the director is trying to do. I see what the director is trying to do. But yeah, probably all the scenes with Bishop because you could tell Bishop, for example, when Q was in the bar and that guy wanted to, rob the place, Bishop is the one that wanted a piece of the action. And so that's also, I liked how he tried to pretend he was a nice guy. He was trying to set Q up with Samuel Jackson's character Trip. Like, I don't know what's wrong with him. You know what I mean? He tries to play the nice guy. He can play both sides. And he even went to Raheem's wake and was hugging the mama. Like, have they found anyone? So I like Bishop's different personalities, but I also you could also tell like something's wrong with him. Cause even after he, shot Raheem, he was like, "Yo, you see how much money we get? Like, bro, one of your friends is dead in cold blood, and you worried about, how much money you had." And then he turned it around on Raheem, saying, "You're not supposed to reach for the gun." Oh, Raheem, why'd you have to do that? So those are probably my favorite scenes with Tupac's character. And this was his first film. It's probably my favorite film. Some people might pick Poetic Justice, but nah, Juice is my favorite Tupac film.
Definitely. The whole movie was dope itself. I think that scene you were talking about with Samuel Jackson's character. I've been watching a lot of patterns in movies and colors that pop out. Usually colors pop out to me, but this movie, what popped out the most was like the patterns that they were wearing and what it represented. Like that scene with Samuel Jackson throughout the film, like he was always that character who stayed in the know, but he wasn't. He was in the business, but he wasn't in. All those times he had like solid colors, no matter the color, whatever color. He even to the hat was solid. Like that was like you didn't see the top of his head at one point. But I think, like for example, when Bishop was talking to him about, yo, you trying to turn the blame on Omar's character. He was basically saying, trying to manipulate him. That hat that Sam was wearing was striped, and striped to me in this film was a lot of like you're undecisive. You're kind of in the thinking process. You don't have a solid thought on something yet. So somebody can manipulate you. That's a vulnerable state, and the other person who was in vulnerable state who wore stripes throughout the film was their friend. They clowned a lot. What was his name?
Steel.
You said what?
Steel.
Peel?
Steel.
Still wore a lot of stripes. He was like that person in their friend group that he was still learning his way, but he couldn't stand his own ground, which is why Bishop kind of looked at him as the easy target. Whereas like Bishop wore a lot of solid colors, blue. Everybody wanted to stand on something. Raheem was like the leader of the group, and it felt like Bishop wanted to be that number one guy because he would use things like when you look back in the film, he would use a lot of stuff to kind of manipulate Raheem himself. Like when his baby mama, like was hopping in another whip with another dude, and red kind of symbolized to me like a want. Raheem wore a lot of red, and Bishop wanted what Raheem had to an extent, not necessarily his life, but he wanted his dream because everybody else had a dream and a goal, like except Bishop. Bishop didn't have any dreams or goals. That's why he didn't take Omar's character serious when he was like, "Oh, I'm trying to, really do this music thing." He just hated on everything everybody did. He hated on love. He hated on a legitimate way to improve their lives. He thought all that was corny, but I noticed at one point in the film, in the beginning, everybody got forced to wake up, except Bishop. Bishop was the only one who woke up on his own. And if he put that mindset to something like if he had a dream, he would have achieved it because even though he didn't go right about the way he did with treating his friends, if he would have put that energy into something like DJing or even help him promote, he was good at manipulating, getting people to do what he wanted. He could have been a promoter, he could have been anything to help promote his friends, but he was really the most selfish character because he didn't care about none of that. He wanted what he wanted his way. So I was gonna say who's your favorite character, but why were they your favorite character?
Well, I guess Bishop is sort of my favorite character because I think I just like the way Tupac acted in the film, and I liked all his crazy lines. Oh, it seems like I liked so many different characters. Like, I did like Q because of his music thing. I really like the music and the DJ singing. I like that. But I did also like Raheem because he was the leader, but he was like a conflict resolver because you know when Bishop and Q was going at it, he was like, Forget that, y'all are brothers. And he wanted them to make up, and he was like formulating a plan, like because Q wanted to do his DJ thing and they wanted to do, the robbery thing. And, he was like, setting the plan up. Okay, that'd be a good alibi and stuff. And he held on to the gun, but then Bishop wanted to hold on to the gun. But even I think Raheem helped Bishop, with Rodimus. But now that Raheem was dead in cold blood, Q and Steele was like, nah, we ain't gonna help him. Let's go. And, Bishop kind of hurt him own self by doing that to Raheem, because Raheem was the one that brought everyone together. Oh,
Mhm.
and remember, Bishop wanted to leave Steele because Steele got caught and had to go back to school. He was like, man, he not coming. And then Raheem was like, no, we waiting for him. So he was the one that looked out for everybody. Um, and then once he was gone, I was like, who else? Who else gonna keep it together? You know? So I did like him. And I did like Steele because, he was kind of, sort of sensitive. They was making fun of him because he was fat a lot, but he did like to eat. But and then he cooked them what, eggs and bacon with hot sauce. I was like, ugh. But I'm glad he didn't die because I was like, oh, he's alive. That's good. But I probably would have been like, still, I would have been like, yo, guys, I'm scared. But actually, I wouldn't even been like, still, I would have stayed home. I wouldn't have been, you know. But even But yeah, I think I liked everybody's character a little bit. Oh, and Flex Washington, no, Flex Alexander. He was in there, because he was like, his Queen Latifah was like, man, your music sucks. He was so like you said, everybody had a little bit of parts in there. Eric Sermon, it says he was the bar patriot, and who else? Tretch, Tretch from you down with OPP? He was in Rodamess's crew. He ain't really had no lines though, so but still, I was like, I liked everybody a little bit, but yeah, I think Bishop made the movie because it was like it's about juice, it's about respect, and that's what he wanted. He wanted respect, even if it meant him dying, and even if it meant him killing everybody. And like he kills with no conscience, all for some juice. And at the end, it was like, "You got the juice now," and Omar's like, but yeah,
I think my favorite scene was all of the music scenes when they were scratching. And I was upset when the cops got him. I'm like, let him finish. But Queen Latifah, I would say she's my favorite character, but she only had a few lines, but she'll be my second favorite. I did like Q's character a lot. I liked all of their characters for different reasons. I like that they each had their own style, their own personality, but they were all in the 90s. Um, there was a scene where there was to me, and I'm gonna wrap it up saying this. In certain ways, I feel like um, they were hinting toward like leaders trying to make a decision. And Q in his room had a poster of Malcolm X, and you would see like that clip repeating a few times of him being in his room and them shooting it with the poster in the back. And I felt like just a glimpse of, you know, you can replace it with Martin, Malcolm, whatever, but in a time where you have to think about which way do you want to go when the people in your crew, the people who you rock with, just like Malcolm X did, don't really align with your beliefs and your goals. Like, what do you do in those moments? Do you separate, or do you try and reconcile? But sometimes you can't do that. I think that's why it was more of a Malcolm X photo versus a Martin. Martin was kind of like the Raheem, like let's do this positively, peacefully. We're gonna be in these streets, but let's do it as best as we can. Whereas and Bishop kind of was like that side of any means necessary. How if you take certain things too far, how it could backfire. But I think Q represented the Malcolm of trying to decide, do I keep going with this same crew or can I stand on my own? And it's just about believing in yourself. What about this film impacted you the most? What did you take from this film?
Oh, before I answer that, shout out to the director and cinematographer, Ernest Dickerson. That's who directed the movie, and he's done some more films. That's cool.
Mhm.
And oh yeah, shout out to you about the colors. I didn't even notice about the colors. I was just looking at the style, but yeah, I did see some stripes and solids, colors, and red. But I guess the takeaway from this movie is, well, I don't think Bishop could even be a leader because there's no I in team. And at the end of the day, he fell down by himself. You know, how you gonna ask Q to help you? Obviously, they were sweating and slipping, but the you probably slipped. Q didn't, do it on purpose, but you probably slipped because you you used to have a crew, now you don't, and now you asking for their help, and you was trying to kill him. So really, you know, he was slipping, but also you could take it as there wasn't enough tightness in their relationship to really get, you know, I'll help you. And who knows? If you didn't beat up Steel, maybe Steel could have helped too, grabbed another hand. But since you was knocking down your brothers, you only got enough strength in your crew to help.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Maybe, if you didn't kill Raheem, he's another person that could have helped, like a tug of war. And there's no iron team. You can't really be no leader because do you see Rodimus? He had a bunch of different, he had a bunch of different people in his crew. Did you see him killing the crew? It's almost like he didn't care about nothing else. Like what was his vision? What was his goals? He didn't care about himself. He didn't care about nobody else. He just wanted that respect, that
Mhm.
juice. And it's like having juice and respect could also be being a good leader. And I just don't think Bishop could have been a good leader because all he really thought about was himself,
Mhm.
you know?
Points.
And so fell down. You got it. Fell down.
Could we see a Juice movie today, and what would it have to look like in order for it to succeed? So we're not going back in the 90s. A lot of times the movies they'll make it today, but you'll be like, yeah, I feel like I'm in the 90s again. Like, what would make it relevant so it could
Well,
connect
I
to people today?
so it's interesting because they probably could do a juice for this, era, the 21st century, because that was like 1992, you know. But they would have to do it right. The casting would have to be perfect. The directing would have to be perfect. it can't just be, it can't just be, done halfway, it gotta be all out. Otherwise, don't even make a sequel.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of different ways you could do it. You could add some girls in there, you know. It's it's so much about this culture that wants that respect and power and influence. Social media plays a part in it. And there's this rap culture, right? The music culture, and rappers are dying, and everybody wants respect, but they don't want to earn it. And there's a lot of different ways you could go about it. That's an interesting thing because I feel like the whole message of Juice was about people caring about something that don't really matter. At
Mhm.
the end of things, I think a lot of people have their minds set on things that don't really matter. So it could always be done over and over again, but it has to be done right.
Yes, I agree. Um, get people who's still on the rise because back then Queen Latifah out of all of them was probably the most popping person in hip hop in that film at that time because Tupac wasn't Tupac yet. He was still with the underground, digital underground. Like even Shock G was there in the back behind the scenes. Like this is beginning pop. You gotta you don't need a star studded, but if you like you said, the people, the casting director, everybody has to be on point because it can't be too star studded, but you got to know who's a gem from the start, who really want it, um, what's, what's something everybody still wants, like back then, the DJ was probably one of the biggest next thing to being a rapper, and you got to find that what do people want right now in that time, and
I would make it about basketball, yo. I would
yeah.
put some basketball in there, some
Mhm.
rapping in there.
Mhm.
Um, there has to be a villain, gotta be a hero.
But yeah, y'all go check out the film, watch it again, and get it on DVD. No, it's a great film to watch. Lessons to learn. It's still relevant till today.
Yup,
The
yup.
need for wanting more, people not really having enough or just enough. It still stands. Still wanting to pursue that dream. Still wanting to. You still gotta resolve conflicts. You still gotta make choices that could, you know, deter your life or
Yup.
upgrade it. But yeah, go check out Cuzzo. Tell them where to follow you because we know
Well,
TikTok getting banned. This before TikTok, y'all. I don't know when I'm dropping this, but we gonna miss TikTok. Okay, then.
that's funny. Yeah, follow me on all platforms. Ashley Abby Ballin. I'm on everything. X, you know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, Juice is a classic, iconic movie. And I think everyone should watch it at least once and learn from it. We have to basically learn from Bishop's mistakes. And gun violence is a big thing.
Hmm.
It's still big.
It's almost like that movie foreshadowed what happened to him in real life. Like that scene where he was getting hemmed up by the other crew and he
Hmm.
was looking for somebody to help, but they didn't. I
Hmm.
think in that moment in Vegas, he kind of was like, someone needed his help. And so he was like, I'm gonna come to the rescue, and my people gonna follow me. That kind of foreshadow, like sometimes you don't need to get involved, and the people around you wouldn't want you to get involved either. And yeah, just learn lessons. But I thought of the Tupac movie. I had it on. It was on Ebony TV because I think I was on Pluto or something. It's a Pluto, either Pluto TV or Freevee. I was on, and they had it. They be having like live TV on, and I was eating. And I was like, I want to put some on, and I saw they had the All Eyes on Me movie, which for me, I didn't care for the film. Especially looking at it now, I'm like, what's going on? What happened? What happened? But
Yeah.
that scene in Vegas, I'm like, that's probably heartfelt part of the film, and the saddest part because it's like, dang, like all over some BS. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a terrible film though. And even in Notorious B.I.G., even though that movie was dope, they had dude who's a really good actor played Tupac. It was terrible. It was terrible. So I don't know why they keep playing with Tupac. Even the Dear Mama documentary, that was more about his mother, and you could tell who they didn't quite like Pac, whoever made that. But besides all of that, Jada Pinkett Smith also said they got their relationship wrong in the film All Eyes on Me. She said they made it seem like we were in love, but really we just loved each other a lot. And it's like, at least get the OGs part of it. Don't you know what I mean? But even
Yeah.
Notorious B.I.G., they didn't have Lil Kim in it. But Notori Naughton played her ass off. She played her ass off. Okay. Playing Little Kim. She could still do Little Kim's Bible. Anyway, this is getting off topic. Anyway, great film,
Yep.
great directing, great um everything. Fit the
We
fit
gotta.
and the haircuts was haircutting. You just felt like you were in the 90s with them, and that's what you want when you watch a film. You don't want to know you're watching a film. You want to kind of like go lose reality a little bit. But yeah, y'all, like, comment, subscribe. Check out Ivy Ball and Basketball Show for sports news. And we'll see you back next video.